Shedeur Sanders was never going to come into the NFL quietly. Not with that last name. Not with the spotlight that's followed him since high school. And certainly not with the pressure that comes with being the son of one of the loudest, flashiest, most charismatic football figures of all time. And then came the moment. He was asked a question during an interview, a casual media opportunity, not some orchestrated PR stunt. And his response? Honest. Confident. He said he believed he could start for most NFL teams. Not out of arrogance, not out of entitlement, but out of belief in his preparation, his vision, his game. No one who's watched him should have been surprised. But apparently Kevin Stefanski was. Because just days later, at a Browns press conference, Stefanski was asked about Shedeur's comment. It was the kind of setup that should have been easy to handle. A tap-in. A coach's dream. Publicly back your young QB, show confidence in his future, and reinforce that swagger as a strength. But instead, Stefanski went cold. He didn't echo the sentiment. He didn't build on the energy. He didn't even toss out the standard, "We like his mindset" cliché.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
What he gave instead was a canned, calculated response that effectively iced out the entire topic. No endorsement. No warmth. Just a flat shutdown. And that sterile, dismissive energy is what cracked the foundation. Let's be real, the Browns are used to instability. Quarterback controversies are practically a seasonal tradition in Cleveland. But this one cuts different. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't a gamble. He's not a half-baked experiment or a desperation pick. He's the future, if someone in the building is bold enough to believe in it. And right now, that someone isn't Kevin Stefanski. This isn't just about whether Shedeur is ready to start week 1. It's about what kind of culture you're building, what kind of leadership you're projecting, and what kind of message you're sending to your locker room, to your fans, to the league, about who matters and who doesn't. When your young quarterback says he's confident enough to lead, and your coach responds with indifference, that's not discipline. That's a red flag. Because what Stefanski's reaction really communicated was that confidence is a problem. That belief in yourself, if not signed off by the head coach, is unwelcome. And in what universe does that work in 2025? This is the modern NFL. Players aren't robots. They're brands. They're leaders. They're voices. And the ones who make it? They're the ones who believe even before the media or the fans or the front office do. But instead of nurturing that, Stefanski's response effectively hit the mute button. And guess who noticed? Everyone. Jimmy Haslam didn't get to where he is in business by missing the big picture. And the big picture right now is that Shedeur Sanders, a high-upside rookie quarterback with charisma, discipline, and leadership presence, is being marginalized by a coaching philosophy that seems stuck in reverse. Haslam is no stranger to shakeups. He's changed head coaches the way some people change passwords. He's cleaned house when things got stagnant, and he's not exactly known for waiting until the dust settles to act. So when you start hearing rumblings, real ones, about ownership being unhappy, you know it's not just about Shedeur's quote. It's about what that moment symbolized. Because this isn't an isolated event. It's part of a larger pattern. Kevin Stefanski has earned a reputation for being measured, controlled, and steady, which sure has its place. But when it starts looking like rigid, risk-averse, and tone-deaf, that's a whole different issue. The NFL rewards boldness, adaptability, emotional intelligence. You want to keep your job? Develop your quarterback. Cultivate talent. Show you're not afraid to lean into potential, even when it's raw. But Stefanski? He's doubling down on safe. And in the process, he's alienating the one player who might have had the juice to elevate this franchise out of the same sad loop it's been stuck in since the Bernie Kosar days. There's a reason the Browns have become the punchline of so many rebuild jokes. It's not just bad luck. It's leadership that plays to survive instead of playing to win. That's what we're watching unfold in real time. And now, with eyes across the league watching, it's no longer just about Shedeur or Stefanski, it's about Cleveland's identity. What are they? A team committed to developing young talent? Or a team so terrified of rocking the boat that they'd rather let it sink? Because the locker room feels it. Don't let the media-trained answers fool you. Players can sense when leadership is out of step with the moment. They know when a coach is stifling momentum. They know when a future star is being ignored, not for performance but for politics. And they talk. You think receivers aren't noticing who's throwing them warm-up balls in practice with zip and anticipation? You think they don't see Shedeur's footwork, timing, and presence in drills? They do. And the longer he's kept on the sidelines, the more it starts to feel like mismanagement, not strategy. Worse, it starts to feel personal. And when things feel personal in a locker room, the fallout is never quiet. So let's be blunt, Stefanski is on the edge. This isn't about a press conference anymore. It's about perception, culture, and control slipping through his fingers. If Haslam believes, even for a second, that his coach has become a liability to the future of the franchise, there will be changes. He's done it for less. And Stefanski knows it. That tight, careful posture in interviews? That's not poise, it's pressure. The non-committal answers? That's not strategy, it's survival. And while he's trying to hold on, Shedeur Sanders, calm, mature, professional, is still doing his job. Still keeping his head down. Still waiting. But let's be clear, he won't wait forever. Because across the league there are teams watching. Teams that want young, dynamic quarterbacks. Teams that will take Shedeur's confidence and build around it. Teams that will see the Browns' fear and make a call to see if he's available. And if the Browns are foolish enough to pick Flacco's floor over Shedeur's ceiling, that's a decision they'll regret for a decade. Shedeur Sanders might be new to the NFL, but he's not new to pressure. He's not new to scrutiny. And he's definitely not new to people underestimating him. He's been groomed for this spotlight his whole life, not coddled but crafted. You don't grow up with Deion Sanders as your father and not understand how to handle the noise. And yet, despite the spotlight, the viral clips, the expectations, Shedeur came into Cleveland like a pro. He didn't puff his chest or demand the QB1 title before he took a snap. He didn't walk into Berea acting like a celebrity. He walked in like a quarterback. Focused, sure, studying, asking questions, earning trust. He was doing everything right. But now, he's being punished for believing in himself. Let's stop pretending that what he said was some outrageous statement. The man simply said, "I believe I can start for most NFL teams." And he's right. Confidence isn't cocky when it's earned. Watch the tape. Check the footwork. Look at the poise in the pocket. He's not just a flashy name with nil endorsements. He's a legitimate NFL prospect. One who's done nothing but rise every time he's been doubted. And how did his head coach respond? Not with encouragement. Not with energy. Not with any kind of fire that would inspire belief. Kevin Stefanski looked like a man who had just been asked if his microwave was working. Utterly unbothered. He shut it down. Cold. Robotic. And worse? Dismissive. That one press conference response became the thesis statement of his coaching style. Safety over spark. Control over chemistry. Scheme over swagger. And now it's biting him. Because while Stefanski was busy trying to silence a narrative, he amplified it. Fans noticed. The media jumped on it. And Jimmy Haslam? Let's just say he didn't love what he saw. Haslam is many things but subtle? Never. He's the kind of owner who treats the franchise like a startup. Aggressive, reactive, addicted to the next big thing. That's why he took the massive PR gamble on Deshaun Watson. It's why he's fired coaches mid-season. He doesn't like to wait for progress. He wants results now. So when he sees his most marketable young player, the guy who could literally reshape the brand of this franchise, get publicly iced out for being confident, you really think he's going to sit back and trust the process? No way. Because Stefanski didn't just mishandle a moment. He misread the room. That one moment with the media wasn't just a PR fail. It exposed a much deeper divide, a gap between what the Browns could be and what Stefanski is willing to let them be. This isn't just about quarterback depth charts. This is about direction. Are the Browns evolving into a franchise that embraces bold leadership, dynamic playmaking, and the kind of identity that wins in today's NFL? Or are they stuck in neutral, paralyzed by the fear of letting go of the old model? Right now it's starting to feel like the latter. And the irony? The saddest part of all? Kevin Stefanski should be the guy. He's smart. He's organized. He's calm under pressure. But somewhere along the way he fell into the trap so many coaches do, mistaking consistency for progress. Mistaking control for leadership. Mistaking survival for success. And now, that tight grip is slipping. The locker room feels it. You don't have to be a body language expert to see that something's off. Players are talking less in interviews. Their energy on the field looks restrained. Not defeated, but definitely not inspired. This is a team waiting for something to change. And if Stefanski doesn't provide that change, someone else will. The pressure is building, and it's not just about what happens next week. It's about what happens next era. Because if Cleveland screws this up, they won't just lose games. They'll lose the kind of quarterback talent that could define the next 10 years. You don't get many chances at that in this league. And while the Browns front office keeps trying to hold the narrative together with duct tape, other teams are lurking. Teams that would love to have a shot at developing Shedeur. Teams that know exactly how valuable a player with his mix of talent, temperament, and brand power can be. And let's not pretend this isn't about more than football. This league thrives on stories, on players who sell tickets, move merch, and turn casual fans into diehards. Shedeur Sanders has that. He has it. And Cleveland? They've got a coach trying to suppress it for the sake of structure. Meanwhile, Flacco is out here running a mid-tier, risk-averse offense that feels like it was designed to survive a 2016 AFC wildcard game, not win a championship in 2025. The fans are tired. The media is circling. And Haslam is pacing the sideline with that look. You know the one. That I'll do it myself look. That I've seen enough look. That Stefanski better get it together or I'll call his Uber personally look. And it's not hard to understand why. Because this was supposed to be different. This team was supposed to be ready. A strong defense, a few key offensive pieces, and now, finally, a rookie QB with potential. But instead of leaning into it, Stefanski is leaning away. Hiding behind safe decisions. Pretending like time is on his side. But in the NFL, time is the first thing you lose. And that clock is ticking. Every week Shedeur sits, that clock gets louder. Every media member asking, why isn't he playing? That's another tick. Every fan muttering, same old Browns? Another. Every time a receiver runs a perfect route just to watch Flacco throw a 5-yard check down on 3rd and 10? Tick, tick, tick. This isn't just about Kevin Stefanski's job. It's about Cleveland's soul. And unless someone in that building wakes up and realizes what they have in Shedeur Sanders, before he becomes another what if, they're going to lose everything they've spent years trying to build. So let's call it what it is. This is the turning point. Start him. Trust him. Let him grow. Or let him go and watch him become a star somewhere else, while your franchise goes right back to being a cautionary tale. Because the NFL doesn't wait for anyone. And if Stefanski doesn't move fast, Jimmy Haslam will. It's already happened before. This franchise has let talent walk because leadership couldn't evolve. They better not let it happen again. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't the problem. He's the proof that Cleveland might finally have something real, something worth building around. The question is whether anyone in charge has the guts to see it. So now it's your turn. Should Shedeur start? Is Stefanski too conservative for today's NFL? Has Jimmy Haslam already made up his mind? And what would you do if you were running the Browns? Drop your take in the comments. Don't hold back. And if you're here for the chaos, the controversies, and the beautiful dysfunction that makes the NFL so addictive, hit that subscribe button. Because in this league, the drama never sleeps. And neither do we. By now, everyone in the league has heard it. Kevin Stefanski might be out. Shedeur Sanders might be the flashpoint. And Jimmy Haslam? He might already have the matches in his hand. And here's where things get truly surreal, because this isn't a bottom-tier franchise with nothing to lose. The Browns are sitting on a loaded defense, one of the most talented pass rushers in the league, a solid O-line when healthy, and for once actual national relevance. This was supposed to be a turning point year. The kind where Cleveland didn't just make noise, they sustained it. The kind where things finally came together. But instead of momentum, what they got was a masterclass in how to snuff out a spark before it becomes a fire. Let's rewind for just a second. Shedeur Sanders didn't cause any chaos. He didn't storm into the league with demands. He didn't take shots at teammates. He didn't even ask to start. He just said he could. And isn't that what you want from a quarterback? What happened to the days when coaches loved a little swagger? When a rookie came in hungry, eyes wide, saying, I can be that guy, and the coach said, good, prove it. Now all it takes is one honest answer and your coach shuts it down like you challenged his authority? That's not leadership. That's insecurity. And it's not going unnoticed. Across the league, execs, agents, former players, they're all talking. Not just about Shedeur's benching, but about why it's happening. About the vibe in Cleveland. About whether Stefanski is so obsessed with keeping his system intact that he's willing to let potential rot on the bench to protect his own ego. And Shedeur? Still professional. Still quiet. Still working. But if you think for 1 second he's not watching the situation unfold around him with crystal clarity, you're dreaming. The man has been raised by one of the most media-savvy athletes in history. You don't think Deion Sanders has taught his son how to read a room? Please. Shedeur knows exactly what this is. He knows the playbook isn't the only thing he has to learn in Cleveland. He has to learn politics. And that's where things get dangerous. Because the moment a young player starts to feel like he has to navigate around his coach instead of grow with him, that relationship is already fractured. Even if no one says it out loud. Even if every press conference ends with, "We love what Shedeur's doing in the film room." The damage is done when your coach treats your ambition like a PR crisis instead of a golden opportunity. And while Stefanski is trying to calm the storm, Haslam's front office is already bracing for impact. Because when you mishandle a rookie quarterback, especially one with a platform, a pedigree, and a rapidly growing fan base, you don't just risk internal tension. You risk becoming that team. The team that had it. And let it go. And let's talk about that risk for a second. Because there is no version of this story where Shedeur Sanders sits quietly for 2 or 3 seasons and then maybe gets his shot if the starter goes down. That era of the NFL is dead. Today's league runs on youth, explosiveness, adaptability. Look around, teams are starting rookie quarterbacks immediately, even when they're raw, even when they're inconsistent. Because they know the only way to find out if a guy is the guy is to throw him into the fire and see what burns. The Browns, somehow, are the one team trying to time travel back to 2006. Acting like Flacco is the stabilizer they need, while the future sits on the bench, ignored. And fans? They're not stupid. They know what they're seeing. They see a young quarterback doing all the right things and still getting the silent treatment. They see a coach afraid to roll the dice. They see a franchise starting to fall right back into old habits. And if you've followed Cleveland for more than 5 minutes, you know exactly how this plays out. Coach clings to the veteran. Offense flattens out. Losses pile up. Fan frustration boils over. Coach deflects. Ownership gets itchy. Boom, mid-season firing, interim coach, quarterback carousel. Hope gone. Future traded. Lather. Rinse. Repeat. And unless someone breaks that cycle, it's happening again. Because Jimmy Haslam isn't going to sit there and watch this franchise squander another quarterback. He's watched this team cycle through more QBs than some franchises have had in decades. And now, with a rookie who actually shows signs of long-term potential, he's being told to be patient? Yeah, no, that's not how Haslam moves. And behind closed doors? That conversation has already started. The whispers are out there. Stefanski's job security is shaky. Every game now becomes a test, not of the team's performance but of his leadership. Every press conference gets dissected. Every snap Flacco takes gets judged against a backdrop of, what if Shedeur was in? And Stefanski knows it. You can see it in his body language. The confidence from a few years ago is gone. Now every answer is tight, careful, scripted, like a man walking on thin ice who hears the cracks beneath his feet. Because that's exactly what's happening. He's lost the narrative. He's lost the momentum. And unless he does something drastic, he's going to lose the locker room next. And if that happens, Haslam won't blink. The only thing more dangerous than wasting potential is ignoring the people telling you it's being wasted. The media is watching. The fans are watching. And worst of all, for Stefanski, the players are watching. And no player wants to give everything for a coach who doesn't believe in the people sitting right next to them. So now it's decision time. The Browns can keep slow playing this, pretending there's some grand development plan happening in the shadows. Or they can be honest, this is a mess. One that only gets cleaned up if you face it. Give Shedeur a package. Give him reps, a quarter, a start, something. Prove to your team, to your city, and to your future that you're not afraid to grow. Because if you don't, well, there's a dozen other teams who'll gladly take Shedeur and give him what he deserves. And when he becomes a star in a different jersey, when he's dapping up teammates in a dome stadium, playoff-bound, leading 2-minute drills with swagger, the Browns will have to live with what they chose. Fear over fire. Safe over special. And Kevin Stefanski? He'll be watching from home, wondering when exactly it all slipped through his hands. So what do you think? Is Shedeur being disrespected? Should Haslam blow it up right now? Can this even be salvaged? Kevin Stefanski didn't need to hand Shedeur Sanders the starting job. He didn't need to roll him out against top-tier defenses and declare him the savior of the franchise. All he needed to do was show belief. A little flexibility. A little vision. Instead, he chose silence. And in doing so, he made it loud. Because when you ignore a quarterback with leadership qualities, a polished skill set, and the confidence to say, "I'm ready," you're not just delaying development. You're broadcasting that development isn't the priority. That's the story people are telling now. Not that Shedeur needs more time. Not that the staff is protecting him. But that the head coach is stuck. Unwilling to adapt. Unwilling to evolve. Playing for his job by not playing the one guy who might actually save it. And the irony? That strategy never works. Every snap Joe Flacco takes, every third down check down, every red zone stall, it just reminds fans what could be, what should be, and what, under this leadership, probably won't be. Because Shedeur doesn't just represent a new quarterback. He represents a new era, a reset. A franchise that finally drafts someone promising and actually lets him become something. Right now, Kevin Stefanski is standing in the doorway of that future and blocking it. And the clock is not just ticking, it's screaming. Because Jimmy Haslam has done the quiet waiting thing before. He's let seasons slip away in the name of consistency. But this time feels different. The tension is raw. The stakes are clear. The young star is already in the building, and all it takes is one bold move to set the tone for the next decade. But will Stefanski make it? Or will Haslam? Because one of them has to. And if neither does, well, then maybe Cleveland's just destined to watch greatness bloom elsewhere. Again. So what's the move? Is this salvageable or is it already too late? Let's hear it. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Who's got to go? Who's got to start? What would you do if you ran this team? And if you're here for the drama, the decisions, and the sheer chaos that makes the NFL feel like a never-ending soap opera, hit that subscribe button. Because in Cleveland, the meltdown is never really over. It just resets, with a new quarterback.